right, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel, and we are back with more of the TNT Tuesday Night Titans review series. July 24th, 1984 is up today or next, depending how you look at this. And if you're new here, like, subscribe, comment. If there's a series you want covered, independent wrestling or mainstream before 1998, that's when I started to lose interest. So anything before 1998 or an independent company, because I like reviewing those, please feel free to comment. We'll see what we can do for you. Anyway, Tiger Chung Lee joins the show, basically talks about being from Korea and learning the martial arts very early. We see him strike a series of boards, first with his hands, then with his head. Vince goes further to create some drama and puts multiple boards in front of Chung Lee, who at this point was phasing out of a tag team with Mr. Fuji. But for those who are territorial fans, you'll know him as Pak Song, majorly influential in Florida in helping for Dusty Rhodes to be turned babyface in the 70s, I think it was 74. So that's his claim to fame, later becoming a moderate success in the World Wrestling Federation, and then moving into basically a Carpenter to the Stars role in the latter 80s. Anyway, very basic promo, humble sounding guy. Tiger Chung Lee is featured in a match here with the Brooklyn Brawler Steve Lombardi. Didn't realize that he was here all the way back to 1984. If you need a good chuckle, going back and checking this match out for one reason, Steve Lombardi in a pink, otherwise known by the way as a Brooklyn Brawler, in a pink ring jacket. Wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it, but definitely worth some comedy points there. As mentioned, this is spread over 3 segments. Lee using some strikes and martial arts type holds, nerve holds, and the like in the match. Obviously gets the victory over Lombardi. The several segment continues actually Tiger Chung Lee all the way through about 3 or 4 segments of this program. Wild Samoans clipped with Mr. Fuji and Tiger Chung Lee. Fuji short arms him on the tag and eventually leaves him behind. Not quite sure why they did the turn here, because I don't really recall Tiger Chung Lee being a major babyface star, but maybe they teased it and it didn't work or something at the arenas. But suffice to say, that is what you have here. Tiger Chung Lee once again talks with Vince McMahon and Alfred Hayes couple of times throughout the program. Then we have a match that if you are an independent wrestler, please go out of your way to watch this. B. Brian Blair and Paul Orndorff. Just a phenomenal match here. Orndorff actually, eventually wins with a pull of the tights. The match itself, though, such basics and work over the leg, and I mean, Orndorff literally wastes like 3 minutes just getting his robe off, walking around the ring before the match even starts. It really is a less is more thing, and obviously a lot of people say you couldn't do that today, but I've seen it done on independents within the last 10 years. Guys using Persona to take bumps off the amount of bumps they need to take. It's smart, it's intelligent. I wish more guys did it, because guess what? Nobody buys tickets to see your 450 splash, but they do buy tickets to yell at you if you annoy them. And so just something to consider there. At the end of the day, Orndorff getting the win, and you can obviously still see that they are trying to move him towards some semblance of a main event push if they haven't already. They do talk about him going at it with Tito Santana, which I'd like to see more matches of that. I've seen some clips of those matches, but I'd like to see more of those. It's amazing to me because we're going to cover Santana a few more times in the upcoming TNT shows, and I'm very grateful that they're going back in the start of 85 to hour shows instead of hour and a half or 2 hour shows. I guess they'd be 2 hour if they're an hour and a half in footage, because these do drag a bit in reviewing them. But anyway, Orndorff and Blair. If you need to know how to work a body part, if you need to know how to get more out of less, match worth watching if you're an independent guy, or if you aspire to be a lady or a gentleman in the independent scene, worth taking a peek at. Dick Worley, world famous referee, is up next. He talks about the psychology of being a referee, and I really like this for a different reason. Even though everything he said was incredible, even though it's kind of like, huh, you let some people go and you don't let others go, and you have fun with this, and you're scared of fighting this guy, and we see there's a couple clips here of Dick Worley getting roughed up as a referee. Just basic stuff. Anyway, I like it because it gave some semblance of psychology into why referees act stupidly, and it made sense of something that most fans, especially kids and teenagers who aren't in on the better part of it yet, gives them a reason to understand the psychology of a referee. Dick Worley, well spoken. Actually, wish he'd maybe done some broadcasting or announcing or something during his career, because I think he had a voice that was commanded respect and authority and all that. S.D. Jones joins the show, talks about being from Antigua. I think he was there last in the 70s or something like that. Came all the way over in the 70s. S.D. Jones never really gets his due here. I think his biggest claim to fame is the match he had as a tag team partner of tag team partner of Andre the Giant in the Stud Bundy Saturday Night's Main Event thing. I think that was his partner. Maybe that was Tony Atlas, though. I think it was S.D. Jones. I could be remembering wrong, but I do remember him teaming with Andre at least on multiple occasions. I think that's the biggest rub that he gets there. Then we see one half of the tag team, the Sicilians, the lesser-known half, that, of course, being Tony Altamore. Mentioned being tag teamed with Lou Albano for 13 years. I can't imagine dealing with Lou Albano for 13 minutes, let alone 13 years some days. I've mentioned in an earlier audio I'd met Lou, and Lou was a character to say the very least. Vodka was his best friend, and that's a shoot. Anyway, Altamore talks about Lou being kind of shifty, and he really gets the character over. Looks really good. There's a picture of Altamore and Albano from 1962. I don't think you'd recognize either guy. They do the nostalgia clip and whatnot, and that's interesting in itself. Then we move on to S.D. Jones enjoying native Antigua music with a pipe band, which was fun. I like the infusion of food and music into the characters. I wish WWE would do this more even now. Mainly because I think it would add more depth to the characters, men and women who are part of the program. Andre versus Alexius Smirnoff. Obviously, Andre wins. Power moves and tossing the big Russian around and such. There's a moment here, and they actually note that this is from St. Louis. The Kiel Auditorium, I'm pretty sure. And Andre gets the win here. Andre joins the show. Before this, I think it was this TNT, but there's a TNT segment that's not too far away from this. Maybe one episode up if it's not this one or the next one that Andre's on, where Lord Alfred Hayes wears the jacket of Andre the Giant, and it looks like you could fit about 4 people in this jacket. It's just really cool. Andre does some singing here. He shows personality. He, says that Vince never gives him time off. That's kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing, and that's there. Then we close the program with Kamala, who had joined the World Wrestling Federation for a bit in 1984, then goes back to, I believe, Mid-South, then comes back in 87, then's there for a short span there, comes back in 92. So Kamala never really stays very long, and I don't know if it's a clash with Vince. I don't know if they just never had a full-time role for him, but this time they're getting him ready for Andre. Martial arts kicks and a leapfrog from Kamala in his match with Jose Luis Rivera. Obviously doing the Ugandan Savage gimmick, big splash, lots of agility for the big man, and that closes the show. if you did want to go back and watch anything from this show as just an overview, the Andre spot with the jacket's kind of fun to watch. The B. Brian Blair and Paul Orndorff match, a must for wrestlers. And the Tiger Chung Lee board thing, kind of interesting because I remember, I think it was on a TNT Coliseum videotape, I think, or a bloopers tape or something. But that segment was pretty well botched because they didn't gimmick the boards beforehand. And I know there's footage of that out there somewhere, but there's actually in the finished take of this, there's a moment where Vince McMahon mentions the wrist of Tiger Chung Lee bleeding, and it's because they hadn't gimmicked these properly. So anyway, just a little inside baseball for those that are interested. We're going to come back with more of these today, but I encourage you to check them out. Notice these reviews tend to run 10 to 15 minutes because they're meant to be highlight films, kind of like, should I go out of my way to see anything on this program? That's what we want this to be, a complete wrestling video kind of review, so you can in less than 30 minutes figure out whether a show is worth watching. If there's something you want us to cover, please contact us. Keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Till next time, everybody.